Welcome everybody. With me today, the one and only Dr. Karsten Mueller. Thanks for being here.
Hello Arne, many thanks for inviting me.
Well, we have something for you today which is, interestingly enough, not about endgames, but about attacking. Well, there's a little bit of endgames too, but it is your new Fritztrainer, and we really truly have to talk about it because you not only brought us two beautiful examples, which we will examine a little bit later, but first question, of course, is why attacking, Karsten, and not endgames?
It was an idea by ChessBase. After recording my Player Types DVD together with Louis Engel, I emphasized on the DVD that I am an activist. I like to play attacking chess. And then ChessBase had the idea, okay, then why not make a full DVD out of it? And I, of course, immediately agreed, as I like it. It's my player type, and I have had already many examples in my databases. So here I am.
Excellent. So funnily enough, we just had an episode with Chris Ward, which I am making the monthly dragon. And in the last episode I had with him, he was talking about you. You're not even aware of this, right? So
No.
It was funny because he mentioned a game between you in the Bundesliga, and I think it was Wuppertal versus Hamburg.
Funny enough, I've got a sweatshirt that says Hamburg Shack Club or whatever. But I've never actually got.
You swapped shirts after the game.
Yeah, we swapped after the game. No, it wasn't quite like that. So,
if I remember correctly.
And it was, of course, a dragon.
Of course, he played the dragon, and you were happy to join in with the fun. And he told the story, but you can listen to this episode yourself, of course. But he told the story that the coach went to him and said, like, listen, you only need a draw, play safe, play really, really good, and don't let anything crazy happen. And then a bit later, the coach went to the board, and it was in flames from both sides, right? And he was just like, oh, God, what's going on here? So it was like, I think, 6 pawns versus 2 pawns and 1 rook less or more or something like this. It was a wild game.
But he was but the thing, of course, is he was very well prepared. He knew it inside out, and I wasn't. That was his advantage. My advantage in a way was that in the game I was objectively better, but over the board but he was the attacker in a way. And I managed to defend, but too many men exchanged in the end.
That is true, yes, but you also have to point out that you joined in the fun. You could have avoided things and played defensively and a bit more subtle and stuff like this. And that is the question which I often have, or which is on my mind. Maybe you can talk about this. If you play against an activist, maybe even an hyper-activist, as you mentioned in your four-player
and here,
role.
of course, even a prepared hyper-activist.
So how do you fight against an activist? Do you try to defend and take the fun out? Like, as my colleague Matthias Deutschmann often says, take the toy away, which is the queen. Or do you try to also attack and so the board is on flames?
Depends, of course, on the position and your own player type. Of course, Kramnik did it very well as theorist against activist Kasparov and exchanged queens in their London World Championship match and won, as Kasparov banged his head always against the Berlin Wall and couldn't break it, because without the queen there was not enough dynamics for Kasparov's strengths to show. So this is one possible strategy. It worked very well for Kramnik, but then you need certain openings and it should fit to your player type, of course.
Yes.
You have to be able to play these black Berlin positions. You want to play otherwise don't go there.
Yeah,
for me it's not a good strategy because I don't want to go to these against Chris Ward I just had to. It also has this objective component. I knew he's very strong, he has a theory and he has an hyperactivist and activist style, but I just had to go there. I had to. The proof is in the pudding. I wanted him to show it, and I didn't see a win for him, or I didn't even see a way for him to draw. So I had to go there for style and objective reasons.
Yeah,
so it
that's a good
depends,
point,
of course. But I didn't. I always saw it was very difficult, and I had attack, but I always thought I was better, so I had to go there for objective reasons.
No, that's fine. That's totally fine. Your Fritztrainer, it's for only attacking players, or especially for people who are too scared to attack, or for both?
Yeah, well, in a way, for sales reasons, I have to say for everybody, but basically, of course, it's for attackers and activists best suited, I think, because I look mainly at the attacking guidelines, their users, like invite everyone to the party.
Yes.
The quotient between attackers and defenders should be good for the attackers, either by bringing in more attackers or by exchanging defenders or by stopping the defenders from joining the defense. Or like opposite colored bishops favor the attacker, or attack on a weak color complex, or attack when you have a long pawn chain against the enemy king, or certain king formations, or certain attacking structures, or attacking motives. So you guess it already. Looking at Tal's attacks and guidelines for Tal, hyper-avic attack, centralize and sacrifice, and if the opponent attacks one of your pieces, attack two of his, and so on and so on. I look at all these guidelines, so you already guessed it, it's more helpful for attacking yourself.
Which is very, very nice, because, I'm the attacking player, but I just learned it by doing and never found the basics, like the step-by-step, this is what you have to take care for. I know that you have to put a lot of pieces into the attack. This is like one of those golden rules, but you listed up like I don't know how many hours of material of these are the rules for efficient attacking.
And of course, important are not the rules. Much, much more important are the intuition, how to use them, and the exception to the rules. And this is what chess is really about. If chess would be about like mathematics, you have the rules, they are always valid, and you learn them by heart and apply them, then chess would be not very interesting. More important is you know the rules, but much, much more important is to get an intuition for their use and the exceptions, and often you have several rules competing with each other, and you need then the intuition. And of course, another is, of course, the attacker doesn't exchange attacking potential, and many, many like that. I miss many, many examples.
Yeah.
So, but even here, you have to, if you exchange a main defender, then exchange it. So it's... what you really need is the intuition and what to calculate, and when to just play on intuition. And you must play it. Calculation is not needed. There are correct sacrifices and Tal's sacrifices. You just sacrifice.
We will look at some beautiful sacrifices. It's actually, as you consider, it is one of the, if not your absolute favorite game of all time,
one of the most favorite games. Yes,
and we already made a German version of this interview, so I am now a little bit aware of this. But still, it is just a joy to look at this game. I completely agree, and I hope you enjoy it as much as we do showing it to you.
Steinitz versus von Barleben, Hastings, 1895, white to move. Yeah, and we could make us statical balance, and then it is clear that black is for choice. White has 3 pawn islands, black only 2. Black has a very strong d5 knight outpost square. With black to move, black would be much better. So white is better developed. White has the dynamics, black the statics, so white needs dynamics. And here you don't have to calculate and think much. What do you have for candidates for white?
Yeah, so, well, shall I say? I know the move now,
but
luckily.
You could move,
and I guessed it right the first time. So for you at home now, take a quick look at how to get the dynamic into this game if you are not aware of it.
And how to bring the knight. The knight f3 must join the party.
That's the whole plan.
Yeah, the knight is if the knight joins the attack, then white has very good winning, or then the attack will be very, very, very dangerous.
But that's a great hint.
But yeah, you need to develop this intuition. Which attackers can be you? This year, as attacker, you must have this. Otherwise, you will have problems with your attacks.
Gotcha. So it is, of course, d5.
Yeah.
This is the move you have to do, and d5 opens the spot for d4.
Yeah, and black takes and knight d4, and you don't have to calculate. You don't have to calculate anything. You can play this without calculation.
Yeah, that's why attacking is so much fun for me.
If you have the position which are so clearly, sharply defined.
Yeah, even if not.
Well, if not, then it gets more,
Yeah, I mean, I have been often enough. I've been hit back by this approach, of course.
If you are too one-dimensional, hyper-attacking player, hyper-activist player, Yeah.
So
you have to pay a price.
Yeah, that's the price for it. I'm willing to pay that. But yeah, try to get to become an activist like this. You can even compete in the world championship.
One important point is you must have seen, of course, is that Black's king has no easy way now. Castling short loses the knight, and there's no. This white must see, of course. Black has now easy solution to the king problem now. This is important, of course. If that would be there, then we would be a pawn down. So this is important, of course.
Yeah. So the king can only move to f7.
And now, okay, white probably Steinitz went here, calculated even a bit more, but the knight on e6 is a bit stronger than on f3.
Yeah. And there's a lot of options, of course, with the knight there. I mean, immediately you look at rook to c7.
Yeah.
Which is the first thing I saw. And that, of course, yeah. And this is this thing about this dynamic which you just mentioned. Black always has to react now. It can never, ever, or it's very difficult to find a move where Black gets the initiative back. And this is the whole thing, right?
Yeah,
the whole stick.
And here white is also winning objectively. This is why we started with the example. So we don't have a tile sacrifice. We have everything falls in place, of course. The development that white is attacking with the whole army.
Yeah.
And Black's rooks, it doesn't work. We will see. Black's rook doesn't work tactically. And then knight c6 also doesn't work due to knight c5. So, yeah.
The thing which you can fall back in is, as we look at the position already, we can see that white has one little vulnerability. Maybe not yet, but later. It's the back rank mate.
This is why the example is so beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. If it would be only one-dimensional, we wouldn't be looking at it.
So keep on. So Black has to move a rook to
rook
c8.
to c8 and must rook the h groove to get the coordination problem out of things. Because one problem is, of course, here with Black's. If you don't castle, you always have this problem how to coordinate the rooks.
Yes.
This is why castling is such a nice move, brings the king to safety and solves the rook coordination problem.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the, if you play no castling chess, this is one of the big problems in the openings, of course.
Okay, so the rook goes to c8.
Yeah, the big move, of course. And now how to
Not
continue.
the other one, obviously.
Yeah, how to continue the attack?
Well, we can activate one of the pieces which
the queen
has more options now.
The queen, and then queen h5 check or queen g4. And queen g4 threatens mate in 2 and looks more active. Also has knight g5 check on the cards in some lines. Okay, but black can't exchange on c1. This is important as white is threatening mate in 2. And checks are candidates, then mate threats which stop the king flight, bring in more attackers, stopping, and so on. This might be stopping exchanges, of course, to keep attacking potential.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this threatens mate, so very high candidate, and knight g5 check is also a move which is easily on the cards here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what else to do for Black now? I mean, there's only one move as far as I can see.
Yeah, knight g5 runs into knight g6 runs into knight g5, so only g6 remains.
G6 is the last resort.
This still runs into it,
Now
but for the moment, it looks like Black has solved it.
You think so?
For the moment, it looks like. Okay, white has candidate move knight takes h7.
Exactly.
This is playable. This is maybe also what Van Barlheim shows. It's all. But of course, this sells. Very important for a good attacker is don't sell it too cheaply. Here you go. Yeah, here is the first time where the back rank mate plays a big role.
Yes.
And here, of course, white is better. White has an extra pawn in an endgame. But in the endgame, Black's king is not weak, but active.
True, yeah. So that is not clear, although there is a pawn more. That's true,
it's still better for white, but it would be a very bad choice, of course. And we wouldn't be looking. Okay, then I would be looking I wouldn't be looking at an attacking DVD. I would be looking at, for example, one of the endgame DVDs.
Yeah, exactly. Just imagine the game would end like this. That's it. Isn't it beautiful? Well, it's like okay.
Okay, but so we can play it. We can go there. White is better. So this is already very good for Steinitz. He can play d5, but I guess he didn't calculate that far. But okay, by intuition you can decide that.
Well, But there's only one choice, and I think I even guessed it correctly the first time, which is we have to take on e7 with a check.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't be a check, would be
If the
rough.
queen takes, then rook d8, check wins directly. If the king takes, then you need a bit more calculation, but here we win so these calculations, they are not too difficult. And if king d6 is a bit more difficult, but still here some calculation is needed, but it's doable. Yeah, here we have again the rook coordination problem on the mirrored to the queen side.
Yes.
And the a8 rook is the undoing. And here we have, but it's not rocket. And black can't use the back. It's not rocket science to calculate these lines. So black must play king f8. But it's possible that von Barleben maybe or even saw that. And now white's there's back rank mate, and the queen g4 is hanging, and the rook e7 is also every white piece is hanging now.
Yes. So if you at home do not know the answer to this yet, now's the time to think for the next I don't know how long. When you saw this the first time, how long did you think about this? Was it just a couple of minutes, hours,
I think
days,
I saw this,
weeks?
whatever, 30 years ago, and I can't remember.
Well, that's a good answer, of course. Yeah, but it is the rook gives a check on f7.
It repeats. Black still can't take, but now comes really f7 was protected, but here the motive repeats.
It's really nice.
And here Kurt von Barleben left the tournament hall without resigning. Don't do that at home. Don't do this in your tournaments. You don't do it. It even wasn't, but in the old days, and is most famous, of course. And later he sent a courier by which gave his resignation. And Steinitz showed the audience the possible end, because now the H file is opening another attacking road.
Yeah.
And now the difference is that the queen can use that attacking road. Now you must take, finally.
Yeah, don't take the queen yet, because back rank again.
Yeah, of course. This is also why it's so nice. With white, everybody was also hanging, and there is this counter mating thread. This is what makes the example so beautiful.
True.
Yeah, and here what happens here is the queen is directly made. And here
takes a couple of more moves.
Yeah, and it's much more beautiful.
Yeah, that's style. Yeah, so he left the tournament hall after this move.
No,
this is what
he left the tournament
earlier.
hall after rook takes h7 check, in the 25th move. Von Barleben left without resigning, with his clock ticking. He just left,
and then. Couple of days later, he said
no,
TikTok video about his
He
resignation.
immediately sent a courier with his announcing his resignation.
Well, at least that he could have left it in the dark after all. Yeah, a beautiful example. But we have another one for you. Let's take a look at what else we have. Yeah, and then, I mentioned it earlier. I said not an endgame, but what do we have here? An endgame. And I remembered this one, but far too late. We had it in our advent calendar, in our Christmas calendar from 2021. English. Yeah.
It's also one of my favorite examples.
Yeah,
and of
beautiful.
course, on the DVD, I had to include one chapter on attack in the endgame as last chapter I couldn't do without, obviously. Yeah, and there's one big difference between endgame attacks and middle game attacks, and it is that very, very often in the endgame the attacking king helps. In the middle game, okay, there's short Timon, but usually the attacking king also stays at home, like in Steinitz von Barleben, the king G1 king stayed safe at home. Okay, but there was a back rank mate, but nevertheless it stayed at G1. But in endgame, the big difference is in endgames there are not so many man left. Most authors define an endgame by king. A theoretical endgame can be defined by one piece and pawns against one piece and pawns, and maybe mating with rook and knight and a few mating with bishop and knight and a few exceptions. But that is theoretical endgame. And to define an endgame, most authors say when the king can be activated, we have an endgame. But okay, it's a bit like many of these chess terms, they are not really 100% sharply defined. And so the big difference is in the endgame, the king often helps. This already was a hint in Bagi Svagintsev, Black to Move, Vadim Svagintsev.
Yeah, it's from 2019. It's a little bit of a masterpiece, which it was like a couple of years ago only. Unbelievable.
But of course, Svagintsev knows the motives, and you should study the motives in the middle game, the typical motives like bishop takes x7, check motives, or other back rank motives, as we have seen.
That's true.
And here also endgame attacks. This is also given in Dvoretsky's endgame manual and the motive. And you should also study the endgame attacking motives. It may help, and I'm sure for Svagintsev it was very easy. And Bagi might be a bit surprised because at first sight it looks like a complete draw. Technically, it would be a draw. Black has only one very beautiful way to win, and it's not a technical win because the winning potential is so reduced. Winning the d5 pawn is not an aim here, then would be have a technical draw in endgame, and because pawnless endgame rook against bishop is a draw if not very special circumstance. So we can again see handgame man knowledge helps. Please acquire that as well.
Yeah. Once you know the motive a bit better, it's the second time I'm seeing it, the better you understand all of this. So the king has to move to f6. Let's just
only winning move because technical things don't work. Here, this we don't have to discuss it. This is a draw. The h4 pawn is already there.
That's done. Yes.
So king f6 is the only move to win, and now black has two winning moves.
Yeah, and and this is the thing which you mentioned. If you are aware that there might be potential to checkmate the white king, then you can find the solution easier because
and if you know the motives, of course, this is the reason why you should study as many motives, mating, attacking motives as you can. For a good attacker, it's necessary that you know the usual attacking motives. But okay, so over the DVD, I couldn't go into too many details.
Yes,
there.
So don't move the pawn, because that would be maybe a natural idea to get it on the white square or something like this. No, it has to be
moving the pawn is the last move of the attack.
Yeah, that is true, yes. So we put the rook to g6.
And now white resigned because after d7 comes king f5, closing the mating net. And it's amazing, this attack is in a way it's more beautiful than other technical phases of the game because black gives everything away, allows the queening of the pawn, has only the last pawn remaining, but the pawn
that's the one needed
crowns the mating attack. Absolutely amazing example. I like it a lot, and Svagintsev doubtlessly know the motives, but it doesn't take away from the beauty of his fantastic mating attack. And but if you know the motive, you can find it, and he knew it. If you don't know it, well, it's not so easy to find, at least from advance, to see that you are winning here by this 10 moves earlier or whatever. Maybe you wouldn't find it even as a very strong grandmaster because you would be thinking in material terms first and in mating attack terms in the end game.
Sure, absolutely.
Maybe later and only in these technical end games, But chess is so rich that they even exist, and so I had to include one last chapter on endgame mating attacks.
And the good part is that Bagi didn't leave the tournament hall a couple of moves earlier.
Don't do that nowadays. Only in the old times you don't do it, but in the modern times. Leaving it without resigning would be
branded,
punished in a way.
Yes. Yeah, but we all know better that we shouldn't do stuff like that. Yes. So, Karsten, thank you so much for giving us a little introduction into your Fritztrainer. I mean, guys, look, I know you don't like it that much to do this commercial stuff, so I will do it for you. Like, if you haven't bought the Fritztrainer yet, come on. Now is the chance. Now that you know it's like for attacking, it's fun to learn all the basics again and to check out how to find your intuition for attacking because, well, truly, it's the most fun for us activists, which are probably the most players in the chess world.
Probably activists are the majority of chess players seen through the lens of this 4 player types model by Lars Bo Hansen, where I made the ChessBase DVD together with Louis Engel. Probably the majority of human players are activists.
Also a good recommendation, by the way, this Fritztrainer. I will put it into the link too.
Many thanks. Many thanks for inviting me, Anne.
Was a pleasure. Thanks for being here, Karsten. See you. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.